Welcome to another episode of Old Men in Chairs, but today we have a not so old special guest. Richard, my friend, is a barber. And since we're going to be doing a reaction to the barbershop skit that Dave Chappelle had on Saturday Night Live, I thought, who better to talk about the inside of the barbershop? You know, there's been a couple movies about the barbershop, and it's really a central part of black culture.
Right.
That people talk about what's going on in the community, gossip.
Yeah.
I used to go to a barbershop up in Avon, and they had a sign on the wall, which I always thought was pretty funny. It said, "Don't talk about yourself while you're here. We'll do that after you leave." Does that ever happen?
More than I would like it to happen.
How long have you been doing the barbering?
I've been cutting hair for over 10 years.
And you had a shop up in the city of Rochester.
That's correct.
And then about a year ago, you came to our little town and actually took a spot right behind my print shop. That's how I got to know you. You were my new neighbor. What can you say about the difference between the city and the country, more of a country location?
It's definitely more peaceful, more relaxed. I get a calming vibe about being around here. City of Rochester's it's a lot.
Well, there's a lot of violence up there.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You got to be a little careful, huh?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever have any incidents in your shop?
Oh yeah.
What? Like what?
One day I woke up, I came outside. I used to have like a little cot in the back. I came outside and I seen a car skirt around the corner. The car flipped over and two teenage kids, what it looked like, jumped out the car and jumped into another car and just left the car in the middle of the road. So I'm like...
Probably wasn't their car.
Probably not.
Yeah. And we should disclose that we both watched this skit at least once. I don't know. I've seen it a number of times. And we both just watched the full opening monologue, which is the 16-minute monologue that he gave at the beginning of the show, which I think was one of the best monologues I've ever seen. Because Dave Chappelle, and I think he's the most talented comedian alive today, he can't be canceled. He's one of those few people, Tom McDonald might be another, that you can't cancel. He can talk about stuff, and he got in trouble, with the trans community, and now he's in trouble with some of the Jewish community, but it doesn't bother him. He still goes on, and he can talk about stuff that nobody else would dare talk about. I thought it was just brilliant, the whole monologue. And apparently, he didn't show the producers the real monologue in dress rehearsal because he knew that they would not like it. So he gave a fake monologue, in dress rehearsal, and then once he was live, then he said what he really wanted to say. And for those who haven't seen it, I thought the key line in the whole thing was at the very end, and he said, "It shouldn't be that hard to talk about stuff." But it is hard nowadays. Well, I've seen some people that were actually reacting to Dave Chappelle on other reaction channels just in the last couple of days, and they're afraid to say anything. They do it all with their facial expressions, but they're afraid to, especially, I'm mainly watching black reactors. They're like, "Oh my God, he didn't really say that, did he?" But they won't discuss it because they're afraid, something could happen to their YouTube channel, or they get a strike, or they get banned, or whatever. And that's a terrible situation we're in right now, that you can't talk about stuff that needs to be talked about because there's always some big brother or big tech watching everything you say. I guess they have computers that look for certain keywords.
Yeah.
And if you say the keywords, then all of a sudden, they're giving you much closer scrutiny.
Facebook jail.
Or in jail, I've been in there about 7, 8 times, I've lost track. But I find life is better without Facebook, so my attitude is if if they put me in jail, they're doing me a favor. Because I can get more done, not waste my time on Facebook. Okay, so there's some debate as to whether the white character, whether he's actually Jewish, or I'm sorry, portraying a Jewish person, or whether he stands for just all white people. It doesn't really matter that much. In any case, he sticks out like a sore thumb in this environment.
Yeah, he does.
It's a totally black barber shop, totally black clientele, but he's in here trying to be a barber. But more than that, his worldview, the things he says, are not really. The black people in the room are not really in agreement, but they aren't going to challenge him about it either. They're not going to respond. They're just going to flip on their trimmers. What's this? Do you have a pair of Yeezys?
I do not.
Well, I guess they're pretty popular.
Pretty expensive too.
Well, that's why he's a billionaire. He designed all those things. Setting them on fire is a little beyond what these guys would accept, I guess. I love the guy with the trimmers, He just snapped. I think that comment would be something that white and black people could both agree that just because the President of the United States says something, we don't necessarily take that as the gospel truth. So that's pretty universal, but funny as hell the way they did that. You have to help me a little bit. Who would spend that kind of money on a necklace?
Gotta be like a rapper, influencer, but you never know nowadays too. There's a lot of people wearing fake jewelry.
Oh. I suppose people that make a lot of money illicitly, perhaps drug dealing or being a pimp, perhaps, want to show off their bling. I don't know that much about the culture.
Right.
I've never worn a gold chain myself.
It's
Have
funny.
you?
Yeah, I actually have a gold chain.
Oh, bring it out. Bring it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
I don't. That's weird though. I think it's more of social status.
Yeah.
And that in the sense of culture, like it's like, but not only there's that, it's like say if you got family that you love, I'll see guys with like 4 or 5 different chains on with pendants and pictures of their family and their pendants.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's got sentimental value.
Yeah.
Some of them, not everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why do guys buy Lamborghinis? Why do guys, dress sharp and have gold jewelry and diamonds and diamond grills in their teeth? They want to show they got the bling, they got the money.
Right.
And unfortunately, some women will be impressed by that.
Not only just that, from a business aspect and standpoint, if I got on a $20,000 necklace, you're gonna want to come in and talk to me because
You must be doing something right.
yeah.
Have you ever heard of Yellowstone?
I've never heard of Yellowstone.
It is the most popular streaming. I have not watched it. My girlfriend watched most of it. It's very, very popular. I mean, it has huge numbers. It's based out in Wyoming, and it's kind of like a primetime soap opera about a family and all the dirty things they do to each other.
Oh wow.
Kind of an upgrade of Dallas from the old days. But those other ones, the Atlanta show, do you watch that?
Mm-mm.
You don't know that one either?
Mm-mm.
I was going to say Cannibal. It's because he liked the Jeffrey Dahmer show. That was very funny.
Yeah, it was.
And the reason it's funny is because Dave Chappelle is a master at pushing the limits of what makes people comfortable or uncomfortable.
Right.
And that whole setup of a white guy working in a black barber shop probably isn't going to happen in real life.
Right.
Have you ever seen it?
Yes. But it's not like typical, white guy, like blue collar, white guy. It's more like he's been around the block a couple times. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. Well, that's nice to hear. But for the most part, I would think that, and this is just surmise, but I've heard other black people say it, that as soon as a white person walks in the door, everyone stops talking. everyone's guarded because they think he's a narc or a police.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one better. Check it. In the shop in Rochester, I seen a white lady come to the door. She was dressed in a suit. Immediately, I got scared because I'm like, wait a minute.
It's
No
right
one's
from the government, right?
She's like, no, I'm just handing out this flyer. I'm like, oh, I thought you were handing me something else.
Yeah. That whole cultural divide that exists, and it's not necessarily white and black, but it's, you know, it's a certain type of white person and a certain type of black person that probably, you know, is depicted here. He's kind of a simpleton. I mean, he has no idea. You gotta know the room.
Yeah.
You gotta know who you're talking to. He's in there and he's just shooting his stupid mouth off and saying things that most of those people don't agree with at all. But they're not gonna say a word. And then Dave comes at the end and says, he's a cop, right? Anyway, I want to thank you for coming over and
Hey, thanks for having me.
participating here in our old men in chairs. Your hair's kind of turned white overnight. Is that? You feel older now?
A little bit.
You're all 29, I believe.
Yep.
When I was growing up, they always said, don't trust anyone over 30. So you got one more year where we can trust you. Then you're shot.